What's up, y'all? Coach Rack here with Headbanger Sports. We are here at Alex Box Stadium, the home of the LSU Tigers, and today we're going to be talking about the D1 or bust mentality that a lot of players have from high school going into college. Now, we've talked about this a lot on the Beyond the Fence podcast, if you guys have tuned into any of those episodes. So we talked about it on the podcast, but today we're going to talk about it in a video. There is this D1 or bust mentality that I had in high school, and this is what it was like. In my head, if I went to some big name D1, I'd get to have all the status associated with it, and it'd be super cool, and all my friends who I played baseball with growing up would get to tell their friends, oh, I know somebody who's going to a big name D1 school. That was what I wanted in high school. I really wanted the clout that comes with playing at a big name school like, say, LSU, right? And this is where my advice, though, to the majority of you is steer clear from that, and it's easier said than done. And even if I told myself this in high school, I don't know if I would have listened to myself, but just hear me out in this video, and maybe that'll help you decide whether or not pursuing a big school like this is right for you. So first of all, one qualifying statement I want to make before all of this is shoot for the stars. Like, if you want to play at some big name school and you have a dream school, then go for it. Like, try to make that happen. Shoot for the stars, you might hit the moon, right? That being said, once you get to your junior, senior year in high school, if you're not getting multiple Division I offers from a lot of different schools, then odds are you're probably not going to get a chance to play at a school like LSU, and that is okay. So here's a couple of routes that you should take and a couple principles that I think you should keep in mind. So first of all, my recommendation is that you go somewhere where you are going to play. Okay, my freshman year, I didn't play too much. I went to UC Riverside, and had I stayed there within a few years, I'm sure I would have became a main starter my junior, senior year. I definitely would have. However, what I noticed was from my freshman year to my sophomore year, I enjoyed it so much more because I played every single game. And that's something that you got to factor in. Are you willing to be a bench guy at a place like LSU? And are you willing to do that for 3 years, maybe 4? Or would you rather go somewhere with a little less status that's Division II and still get to play the game and be in the lineup every night? So that's my first overarching piece of advice, is go somewhere where you will play. If you play, you will enjoy it way more. If you're anything like me, if you're on the bench, it doesn't matter what team you're on, it's not nearly as fun as if you are playing the game. A second thing that I will say is try and find a winning program. Now, here's why I say try to find a winning program. When you are a part of a team that is winning, the culture there is a lot more positive, and it ends up being a better place for player growth on an individual basis. Maybe you're going to college and your goal is to play professionally after. Well, I promise if you go to a winning school, your likelihood of getting signed and moving on to the next level is going to be much higher because the team culture is going to be much better. When teams are winning, a lot of guys are putting in extra work, a lot of guys are having fun, the coaches are having fun and having good attitudes. When teams are losing organizations and they lose year after year and have a losing record, they're never in playoff contention. When you go to schools like that, there's generally a losing culture, and the likelihood of you having a great season and moving on and getting signed is very, very low. This isn't talked about enough, but rather than trying to chase the high status schools, you should be trying to chase schools that have winning programs. What I've seen is the schools like Cal Baptist University. Maybe they're not the biggest known Division I school out there, but in Southern California, where I'm from, they just moved up to Division I and they have a winning record every single year, and they get a ton of guys drafted. Whether or not you see them on your phone when you're scrolling on social media, you might not see them that way because they don't have the same clout that maybe one of these bigger universities have, but at the same time, their guys are getting opportunities to play at the professional level. And why is that? Because they have a winning program and they have a winning culture built into the team. Now, the third piece of advice that I have is if you are a late bloomer, then do not try and go to the school out of high school and then give up. Like, my recommendation is use junior college as an additional 2 years of high school. You know, so many players, myself included, who needed to develop a little bit more after high school. And if you go to a junior college, you are opening up so many doors. Maybe you're not ready to come to LSU out of high school, but after a year or two at junior college, maybe you are. And maybe you could come into LSU and be the guy your junior year. And so that's where junior college is such an amazing opportunity for a lot of you people, because also it saves you a lot of money. If you don't realize, like, college is expensive and baseball scholarships are not in abundance. So if you have the opportunity to go to junior college, get your associate's degree, and then transfer into a college like this, then you could potentially go in with little to no debt and have developed for 2 years as a player and be able to walk onto a big organization like this and have success. Whereas out of high school, very few people are actually good enough to make that happen. Now, fourth, one final thing to factor in is the transfer portal has changed all of this. Again, this is something we've talked about a lot on the Beyond the Fence podcast, but the transfer portal has made it so that so many different players from different schools can transfer school to school, which makes it even harder for high schoolers to enter into that college baseball barrier, which is, again, all the more reason for you to explore junior college or even NAIA and schools of that nature, so that by your junior year, you can transfer in to a school that you want to go to. Maybe you will be good enough to come play at LSU out of high school, and I hope that you do if that's your goal. But that being said, there are a lot of other options, and I encourage you, as you're picking a school, don't just go for the status, don't just go for the clout. Pick a school that has a winning program, and pick a school where you are going to get playtime, because I promise you will enjoy that a lot more. As always, I'm Coach Rack with Headbanger Sports. We'll see you guys next week.